You know how we always have these big questions about Neanderthals? Like, who were they really?
Right.
Well, there's been this recent discovery. It's honestly changing everything we thought we knew about them, like a total plot twist.
It really is. I mean, we used to picture Neanderthals as this, like, single group, kind
Mm.
of basic, and we just assumed they all died out.
Yeah.
But now it's getting exciting. What
Yeah.
we're finding is showing us a much more complicated picture. Way more interesting, for sure.
Okay, so what is this discovery? What's got everyone so surprised?
So back in 2015, researchers in France, they found a Neanderthal. They nicknamed him Torin.
Okay.
They were working in this valley, the Rhone Valley, and by looking at the layers of dirt around where they found him, they figured out he lived something like maybe 42,000 to 45,000 years ago.
So that puts him pretty late in the Neanderthal timeline, right?
Exactly, like
Yeah.
one of the last ones in Europe. And that's actually key, because when they analyzed his DNA, well, it wasn't what we'd expect. Not for a Neanderthal from that time period, just before they disappeared.
This is where it gets crazy, right? What did they find?
Get this, Torin's DNA, it was more similar to Neanderthals from 100,000 years ago. Not the Neanderthals he was supposed to be living alongside.
You're kidding. It's like his family tree skipped a whole chapter.
It really is. It's like his lineage, his specific group was, I don't know, frozen in time, genetically speaking, for thousands of years.
100,000-year-old family resemblance. Seriously.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us then?
It means, basically, Torrens people, they were isolated for, get this, like 50,000 years. No contact with other Neanderthals, barely any with Homo sapiens, if any at all. It throws a wrench into everything we thought we knew, right? It means those late Neanderthals in Europe, they weren't just one big group after all.
Okay, hold on. 50,000 years. How is that even possible? Was there something blocking them, like mountains or something?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers yet. Could have been geographical stuff, like you said, mountains,
Mm-hmm.
maybe really thick forests, who knows, making it hard to get around.
Yeah.
It's also possible, though, that they were just doing their own thing. Like they'd figured out how to live really well in their own territory, so they weren't really interested in exploring.
They were happy staying put while our ancestors were off, like, seeing the world.
That's one way to look at it. It makes you wonder, was that a fundamental difference between us, Homo sapiens, we love to explore, expand, meet new people. This is starting to look like some Neanderthal groups. Like Torrens, maybe they were all about their small, close-knit communities,
Yeah.
sticking to what they knew, less focused on seeing what was beyond the horizon.
It's like, imagine a group of, I don't know, amazing craftspeople. They've been living in a hidden valley for, like, generations, perfecting their skills.
Right.
And then you've got this other group, wanderers, explorers, maybe merchants, always on the move, trading and sharing ideas, both cool in their own way.
Absolutely. And that's important, right? Just because they're different doesn't mean one's better. It just means they figured out how to thrive in different ways, adapted to what worked for them.
Exactly. Okay, so we have these Neanderthals like Torrens group, kind of in their own little world, but we also know that Neanderthals and early humans, we got together, had kids and stuff.
Right.
That's why today a lot of us still have some Neanderthal DNA. It's pretty wild when you think about it.
It's true. And it proves there was some mixing. Maybe just not on as big a scale as we thought.
So it's more complicated than just new humans showed up, Neanderthals disappear. It's like this whole long story of all these twists and turns.
Exactly. And this is where Torrens' story gets really interesting. Because it could mean that, yeah, there was interbreeding, but that might not be the whole story of why Neanderthals aren't around anymore.
You're saying that being isolated for so long, having a smaller gene pool like you were talking about before, that might have had something to do with it.
Exactly.
For those of us who weren't paying attention in biology class, can you explain what that means again? Gene pool.
Sure. Basically, it's all the genes in a population. Bigger, more diverse gene pool usually means a species is better at adapting, rolling with the punches, changes in the environment, diseases, you name it.
So like more ways to fight off diseases, different physical traits that might be useful if, say, a new predator came along or it suddenly got colder.
Right, exactly. But a small gene pool, like what we see with Torrens' group, it could mean they were less diverse, less able to, change quickly when they needed to.
It's like if you only have so many tools in your toolbox, you're good as long as you need those tools. But what happens when a new problem comes along and you don't have what you need to fix it?
That's a good way to put it. And think about what that would mean over a long time. Imagine the climate changes, or there's new food to find, new animals competing for resources. Suddenly, those early humans, the ones who are all about connecting and exploring, they have a real advantage.
So being connected, that wanderlust our ancestors had, that actually becomes a survival strategy.
Exactly. It shows that evolution isn't about being better, but about fitting the world around you. And what works one day, it might not work the next.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What about our world today? We're so globalized now. Is there something, I don't know, something we're not thinking about that could be a problem for us down the road? Something we could learn from Neanderthals? Something to think about, huh? It really puts things in perspective, you know? We like to think of ourselves as the main characters of the human story, but we were sharing the planet with other humans for a long, long time. Like Neanderthals. Smart, capable, and way more connected to us than we ever realized.
And the story keeps going. Every new discovery, every piece of ancient DNA, it's like we're putting together a giant puzzle, getting a clearer picture of where we come from and how we fit into it all.
And about that puzzle, it's amazing how much our understanding of history depends on, like, the tools we have, the way we're looking at things.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, I don't know, imagine looking at one of those old faded photos and then suddenly you see it like totally restored, crystal clear. You see all these details you never even knew were there.
And those details change everything. We're finally moving past that old idea of Neanderthals being, just these primitive cavemen. We're starting to understand them as like this complex group who live their lives in ways we're just starting to wrap our heads around.
It makes you wonder, right? What will people figure out about us in the future? What will they think when they look at our fossils, our DNA, our societies, our technology, all the good and bad stuff we did? Will it surprise them?
It's kind of a mind-blowing thought, isn't it? We're adding to this ongoing story all the time. And someday, someone's going to be doing a deep dive into our lives.
It just shows you life on this planet, it's all connected. Just like Neanderthals left their mark, so will we. And maybe, just maybe, by looking back, we can learn something about how to move forward.
It's something to think about, for sure. In our globalized world, maybe there are lessons we can learn from those Neanderthals who, even in their isolation, figured out how to be resilient, how to make it work in their own corner of the world. Thanks for going on this deep dive with us, everybody. We're learning more about Neanderthals every day, and it's clear the story is far from over.